In this video, we're going to be talking about factorizing, which is algebra. So there are 4 methods of factorizing. There's taking out what's common, grouping, difference of 2 squares, and quadratic trinomials. In this video, we are just going to focus on the first and the second method, okay? If you were asked the question, factorize this equation, 5x plus 10, what would you do? Well, factorizing, it's a little bit difficult to explain, but factorizing just means the breaking down of, or you're kind of just putting it back to the base, its base form. Like, how did you get 5x plus 10? So think about it. When taking out what's common, right, we are taking out everything that is common. So that can include numbers and letters. What's common between 5 and 10 is 5. Now, we can see here that 5 is the only thing that is common within this equation. So we're just going to keep it in a bracket, right? Now, within this bracket, it has to be able to get us this equation. So we have crossed out 5, right? And we're left with a plus, now 10 divided by 5 is 2. So what you would put 2 in this bracket. So 5 multiplied by a is 5a, and 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. For example, if you were sitting, like this would be first year stuff, but if you were sitting in an exam and they gave you this question, right? You would say, okay, 5 multiplied by a and then 5 multiplied by 2. So in this case, you're given the opposite. You're given basically the answer and you have to find out like the workings out within that. Let's do another question. If you were given xy minus 5y, factorize. Like, that's how they'll literally explain it. They'll give you this and they'll tell you to factorize. And you have to know which of these methods to use. The y's are common, so we are going to take that out. And now, anything else common? No, nothing is common. So we're going to take a bracket. Now, what do we have left? We have an x, a minus, and a y left. So if we were to multiply y by x, we get xy. And we were to multiply y by minus 5, we get minus 5y. So we just put that in. So x minus 5. If you were to work this out, you would get this answer. So that's basically what your aim is here. You're trying to find out what is common, and whatever is common is going to be outside the bracket where you're multiplying into the bracket. Let's try another one. If you were given 21b squared plus 14b, what is common? Now remember how I said it can be letters and numbers. It doesn't specifically have to be a number or a letter. It can be letters or a number. Okay, so let's look here. Firstly, we can see that b is common, right? B is common. But what else? 21 and 14, what do they have in common? The multiple of 7. The multiple of 7 is what is common. So we're going to put 7 outside the bracket. And we mentioned that b is also common. Now people ask, why don't we put a squared in there? Well, if I were to put 7b squared, right? And I was to do the bracket, solve what's inside that. But we look at this 14b and it's by itself. So we have to make sure that this b is by itself as well. So how many times does 7 go into 21? 3 times. Now remember, it's b squared, so we just add another b because 7b multiplied by 3b is 21b squared. Do we see that? Plus, how many times does 7 go into 14? Twice. Now we leave it as that because 7b multiplied by 2 is 14b. That's it, not squaring, okay? Let's try another one. If you were given 6p squared plus 15p, factorize. What is common between 6 and 15? 3. So 3 is common between 6 and 15. Now, the p's are also common, but remember this p, it's not squared, so this 3 has to be singular, right, with only one p, okay? How many times does 3 go into 6? It goes in twice. And this p is squared, so we have to add a p there to square these p's. This p squared is literally just saying p multiplied by p, okay? So 3p multiplied by 2p is going to give us 6p squared. Okay, then we're going to add our plus. Remember, if there's like a sign in between it, just add that sign down there. Don't try and overthink it, really. So, how many times does 3 go into 15? It goes in 5 times, and we're going to leave that. We're not going to put a p in there. So now let's check. 3p multiplied by 2p is 6p squared, and 3p multiplied by 5 is 15p. That's right. 24x squared minus 18x. Okay, so what is common? What's common between 24 and 18? If you said 3, well done. 3. Right? What else is common? The x's are common as well, so we're going to put that x in there as well. So now, how many times does 3 go into 24? It goes in 8 times, and since that is squared, we're going to add another x because these two are squaring, okay? Minus, how many times does 3 go into 18? It goes in 6 times, and we're not going to add an x because this is just a singular x. So 3x multiplied by 8x is 24x squared, and 3x multiplied by minus 6 is minus 18x. Let's try a harder question, okay? A more difficult one. If I were to give you 10ab squared. 10ab squared minus 8ab plus 2a squared b. So let's try and see here. What is common between 10, 8, and 2? Well, 2. 2 is common between all these numbers. Now let's look at the letters. What letter is common? A is common between all of these. And now let's look at another one. Let's look at our B's. Okay, so our B's are also common. So we have 3 numbers that are common. So let's bracket that. How many times does 2 go into 10? 2 goes into 10 5 times. And we have our A, but there's a B squared. So we have to add a B because our B's are multiplying. Okay? Minus, how many times does 2 go into 8? It goes in 4 times. An A is there and a B is there. So we're fine. We don't need to add any letter. Plus, how many times does 2 go into 2? Well, it goes in once. But you don't really have to add the number 1. And then, but we see here our letters. So A squared. So we have to add an A there to square it. And B, well, B is just B. So it's no squaring. So now let's check. 2AB multiplied by 5b is 10ab squared. 2ab multiplied by minus 4 is minus 8ab. And 2ab multiplied plus 1a is just 2a squared b. Well done. If I were to ask you 20x squared minus 30 now cubed. If I choose a random number, right? If this was 2 cubed, right? If you were given 2 cubed, right? What that essentially means is it's not really different to 2 squared. You're just taking this number and you're multiplying it 3 times. So 2 multiplied by 2 is 4 and 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. So the 2 cubed is just essentially 8. And no difference goes from 2 squared. 2 squared is just 2 multiplied by 2. You're taking that number and you're multiplying it twice, which would just equal to 4. Okay? So this x is being multiplied 3 times. What is common between this equation? So look at our numbers. What is common between 20 and 30? Well, 10. 10 is common between them. And what else is common? X. But x what? If we look here, it's x squared and x cubed. Just put x squared. Because our goal here is taking out everything that is common. What is common here is x squared. So how many times does 10 go into 20? It goes in twice. And you don't need to add any x because it's already squared. So minus 10 into 30 goes in 3 times. And then since this is squared, you're just going to add another x there. This is basically what taking out what's common is. You're just going to the extent of taking out everything you can possibly see that is common. Okay, let's move on to the second method. Okay, so if I were to ask you the question, 2ax plus 3bx plus 2ay plus 2by. So this looks petrifying, actually. How you use grouping is you need to notice one thing. There are 4 terms. That's the first thing that should click into your mind. 4 terms. This, what I just gave you here, 3 terms is the extent of what taking out what's common can give you, okay? Can't give you 4. Can't give you 4. Never will give you 4. Never will give you 5. 3 is to the extent, okay? But taking out what's common, grouping will always be 4 terms. It will never be 3, it'll never be 5, it'll never be 50. It would always be 4, okay? That's how you immediately think, okay, that's grouping, okay? I would do a big, huge box between these first 2 terms because I'm looking here, what is common between these 2? What is common between 12 and 3? Well, 3. And also, x is common as well. So these 2 are completely common. So I'm literally going to do a box separating this from these 2 terms. And I'm going to do the same here, right? So in some cases, you won't always be given such a lovely question like this, that there are, 2 terms that are matching on one side. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of rearranging. See, now here, as I explained, that here, 3 and x are what is common here. So 3x, now forget about these 2 terms, okay? We're going to focus entirely on these 2 terms first. Bracket 4, right? Because 4, how many times does 3 go into 12? It goes in 4 times. And we also left with an a, so we'll put an a there. Plus, how many times does 3 go into 3? It goes in once. Then again, you don't have to write the 1. I'll just leave it. Is equal to b, then b. So this is our first equation. So if we were to multiply 3x by 4a, you get 12ax. 3x multiplied by b is 3bx. So we have that perfectly fine, right? Now I'm looking here. Okay, so I'm going to leave this sign. What is common between these 2 is the number 2. So 2. And what letter is common? Well, y. So y as well. And then we're going to put a bracket. 2, how many times does 2 go into 8? It goes in 4 times. And what is left is a. So, and then we're going to put that plus. And how many times does 2 go into 2? It goes in once. Don't have to write it in. And then what's left is b. Now let's just check. 2y multiplied by 4a is plus 8ay. So it's a positive. So I know that I can have this as a positive, okay? 2y multiplied by b is 2by. Now looking at this, do you notice anything within these brackets? What do you notice about these 2 brackets? They are the exact same. So one other tip that can help you is when you are grouping and you are at this stage, your brackets must be the exact same. If your brackets are not the same, you're doing something wrong. Simply as that. You need to see if your brackets are the exact same. Signs are the same, numbers are the same, letters are the same, everything. It has to be the exact same. Like copy and repeat. Repetition, guys. Is we basically take the 2 numbers that are outside the brackets and we put them into brackets, if that makes sense. So 3x, we're going to put that in the bracket. 3x plus 2y, and we're going to bracket that, okay? We're not going to add a symbol, and then we're going to add another bracket, and we're going to put in what's in these brackets. What's in these brackets, okay? And see, the funny thing is that they are the exact same, so it doesn't matter which one you put in, because they're the exact same. So 4a plus b, and that is how you solve grouping. Let's try another question, okay? So if I were to give you the question 4a squared plus 6ab minus 10ac minus 15bc. Okay. 4 terms. 4 terms, check. Okay, we know it's grouping. Let's separate these 2, okay? What is common between 4 and 6? The number 2. So 2. And what is common between letters? A. We're going to put a bracket. How many times does 2 go into 4? It goes in twice. And now since it's squared, we're going to add another a because you are multiplying to get a square. Plus, how many times does 2 go into 6? It goes in 3 times. A is already there. Now we have to add a b. And please do comment down below if you don't understand anything. I will be more than happy to do another video trying my best to explain this. So then again, we're going to leave the sign and don't touch it at all. So 10 and 15, what is common between them? 5. So the number 5 is common between them. Is there a letter that's common? Yes. C is common. So then we're going to put a bracket. And how many times does 5 go into 10? It goes in twice. And A is left. So then minus, how many times does 5 go into 15? It goes in 3 times. We have C, but what is left? We have B. B is left. So now let's check, okay? I'm going quite fast, okay? So 2a multiplied by 2a is 4a squared. 2a multiplied by 3b is 6ab, okay? And always do check, because sometimes you're going ahead, you're rushing through it. Well, not exactly you rushing through it, but you're kind of doing it, and then you're like, yeah. But then, in the end, you get something wrong, and you're like, where did I go wrong? So then, 5c multiplied by 2a is 10ac. Now, it's a minus ac, okay? So we have to bring this minus down to the down. And then minus 5c multiplied by 2a is minus 10ac. Okay, this is where the problem comes in. Minus 5c multiplied by minus 3b, that's not minus 15bc. So we have to change this into a plus, because minus 5c plus 3b is minus 15bc. Do we see where I'm coming from? 3, okay? 6ad minus 3ae plus 2bd minus be. Now, let's group these terms together. So, what is common between 6 and 3? Well, 3. And what letters are common? A. And now in the brackets, how many times does 3 go into 6? It goes in twice, and D is left. Minus, how many times does 3 go into 3? It goes in once. It is E. Let's check. 3a multiplied by 2d is 3ad, and 3a multiplied by minus e is minus 3ae. Now we're going to add in our plus. Oh, so now we're going to add our plus, and as you can see here, no number is common, and that's perfectly fine. What letter is common though? B. So B is going to be outside the bracket. 2 and D are the only ones left. Minus E. So B multiplied by 2D. B multiplied by minus E is B minus BE. So that is that. Thank you for watching.